that was a it was a pretty unreal moment because I remember the '91 Rumble, and
Yeah.
seeing Dustin Rhodes there for his match, and it's like, yeah, it was, and he was awesome. He was so cool. So it was quite the experience.
Yeah, he is for me like a dream interview because he's the reason I found out there was other wrestling out there. So like I was
Yeah,
flipping through the channels one day and I just happened to, come across WCW, not knowing it was WCW. And I was like, well, there's Dustin Rhodes. What is he doing? And then I'll show my age here. This is back in the day where there's TV guides. So I picked it up, turned to what day it was, what channel I was on, what time, and I was like, what the hell is a WCW? So I just
yeah,
kept watching and I'm like, there's other wrestling out here. This is amazing.
yeah. That's WCW was one of my favorites. There's a couple of guys that I work in Quebec, and every time we see each other, we talk about WCW. One of my first VHS tapes was again showing my age too. Was Great American Bash 1990, which was Ric Flair and Sting.
Ooh.
So when I was at AEW last time in Hamilton, Sting was actually there. He hadn't been in there the previous two times, and it took all my power not to go fanboy, but I was very excited to see Sting.
Yeah, he lives in the Metroplex here, and I always hope that I just randomly will come across him, but I don't think that'll happen. But I'm still putting out in the universe that it will happen.
Yeah,
So
you never know. You never know.
exactly, yeah. I think we were on the same flight because I try to go to I go to WrestleMania every year, and I think it was Tampa or Orlando that maybe it was Tampa. And I was like, oh shit, there's Sting, like right by the baggage carrier. I was like, I'm not going to bother him like all these other guys are. But maybe we were on the same flight, but obviously I didn't see him. So I don't know.
Cool.
Yeah.
Hey, maybe it'll happen for you. I'll put that out there in the universe for you.
Thank you. I put it out there enough that I was going to meet The Rock, and I did. So Sting is
Oh,
definitely
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that one I got lucky. I was got a media pass for the XFL when they did everything for the most part here in Arlington. And I was on the field taking pictures, and obviously you saw The Rock was there because he's this larger than life person. And then there's this giant group of people just swarming him. So I was like, I'm not going to be part of those people. I'll just keep taking pictures of the players and everything. So it was right before the game starts, and he goes out in the middle of the field and with the Renegades jersey on and does the whole speech thing. But right before he goes out, like he's standing on the sidelines, and I was like, all right, this is my chance. I'm not going to have this again. So I went over, grabbed a selfie real fast, and I was like, afterwards, I was like, "You're looking good in that jersey," and he was like, "Oh man, I'm just trying to fill it out." And I was like, get a couple reps and you'll be good. And we both laughed about it. And I was like, man.
Yeah.
I'm not
He's
only met the Rock, but I made him laugh. So life goal
he's a,
achieved.
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. Now, when you were growing up, obviously, I think was probably the dying days of Stampede, right? Like what all was on your TV and what all did you able to get when it came to wrestling?
Stampede was actually before my time.
That's what
I
I
just
thought.
happened to go back and watch a lot of the 80s and 90s.
Mm.
So, like, I grew up more on probably Next Generation,
Mm.
um, but I was so adamant on rewatching the the first couple of WrestleManias and stuff. Like, I always remember like the '89 Survivor Series, and I was young, but I'll always remember that VHS tape. And actually, I was telling somebody the other day, like, my one of my aunts, like my great aunt, had one VHS tape, and it was War Games, but like
Oh,
it was that yellow box that had both the first War Games, like Dusty Rhodes, the Road Warriors, and the Four Horsemen and stuff.
right.
So that's the kind of stuff I remember more. If you put me in wrestling trivia, I could probably get from like '88 till 2000 pretty strong. And
Goodness.
then it kind of got a little away from me, but
Did you ever take a break from wrestling? Because I know a lot of people do. I never did, but I know a lot of people are like, oh, I watched here, but then I stopped, and sometimes I get back in. Did you ever take a break?
I never not like didn't know what was going on.
Hmm.
Like even today, I don't really watch Raw and SmackDown, but I know what's going on.
Right.
Uh, I'm actually when I'm at work, I'm usually rewatching like the Asylum years right now.
Oh
So I'm
wow.
seeing, yeah, I really like that stuff. So no, to answer your question, no, I never really took a break. It was just whether I was watching older stuff or just kind of catching up. But I never took a break. I'd say.
Nice. Yeah, that's awesome. Now, I've always heard that the trying to if you're in Canada and trying to work the States and getting back, there's the border can be a bit tricky. Is that still the same situation that we've always heard from the past?
I mean, it is. Yeah, I mean, legally we can't work there. We can't get paid, but we are allowed to have accommodations and our gas reimbursed. So that's what we do. So I mean, we essentially work for free, uh, just to um, get our name out there because there is so much more exposure in the States.
Right.
Like we never lie at the border because it's not worth um, getting banned or anything like that. I've had that to a couple of friends. So I mean, we have a lot of friends that can work here because legally, Americans can come across to Canada and wrestle. It's like a whole line written and everything, thanks to the WWE. But it's
Hmm.
not reciprocated. But I mean, for the most part, it's pretty. We do what we can, and like I said, we just can't get paid, but we can have our gas paid, like reimbursed.
That is that a Canadian thing? Is it an American thing? Like how does obviously WWE was powerful enough to make it for Americans over in Canada, but the reverse just is seems bonkers.
I mean, I guess that's an American thing.
Uh,
Uh, yeah, I don't know exactly. The only reason I even know about the other stuff is actually because a border guard told us.
huh.
So it's it's kind of up to the guard, and I we usually when we travel, we go there. Like I'll drive I mean, the farthest we've driven really is St. Louis, which has been 11 to 13 hours one way. We drive
Mhm.
there over the night, wrestle, and come right back because we're getting accommodations of uh, just gas reimbursed, not like a hotel and stuff. So, it, I mean, they could see what we do. We travel around. They can look us up. So we're not lying, and we're just trying to make it. It's not a easy game. There's a lot of people out there, and it's like if I go to an audition for acting or anything else, it's am I the right person for that fit? So uh, it's no different.
Hmm. Yeah, my brother's an actor and he up in that area too. So I'm curious if you guys ever run into each other. That's interesting.
I do. I haven't done much acting, man. It's
Okay.
more of like I've done some stuff for Vice, and then I'm actually a big and tall model. Uh,
Oh.
that one kind of just fell in my lap, so it's uh, it's kind of fitting to me. And then there's some huskier fellows, but
Yeah, my brother's done some commercials and he was on the Buffalo Wild Wings commercial, I guess a couple years back here in America.
Torco.
Yeah.
Yeah. I took a stunt course too, um, and then I've gotten on to do a couple things. Like I got to do a video game
Oh,
and
that's
things
cool.
like that here. Yeah, so I got to put on the suit. Like that was pretty fun and different. But yeah, I just I've been on all the like the Dark Side of the Ring. Have you watched
Oh,
that?
that's all. Oh, that's right, because they did film a lot of that up there, or I think all
Yeah,
of
it's
it.
all filmed here. So I was who have I played? I played Davy Boy Smith, which was one of my favorites.
Yeah.
I was Glacier. I played Wrath. Yeah, I was Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Um,
Your childhood, I imagine your inner kid was like, "How is this possible?"
yeah, it was. It's funny. Like I actually was I looked like him a lot back in the '80s, and that one was Tales of the Territories. I guess
Oh
it's the
yeah.
same idea. Yeah, those are fun. fun to be able to play different different childhood people. I had to turn down a couple just because of timing, and I got asked to be Buff Bagwell, and just didn't work out. But
Yeah. That I've loved what they've done with that show, and like even if you're not a wrestling fan, like I've told my friends that aren't wrestling fans to watch it, and they have been hooked because the way it's just great storytelling about what they've done, and they're like later maybe their name will come up and like, oh, that's the guy that did both. I was like, yeah, how did you know that? He's like, oh, I've watched The Dark Side. I was like, ah, that's awesome. So
yeah,
and then what
so
they've done with Tells the Territory is even better because it's that round table and then also, elaborating on that story and uh, making it that big.
yeah, I guess I could technically say I worked for The Rock.
You have, yeah, you got paid by The Rock.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Now, what is the Canadian wrestling scene like right now? Because I know obviously it's a very large country, and driving from one side to the other can be a bit of a hassle. But what does the scene look like?
Man, Canadian wrestlers are awesome. It's it's not doesn't have as much exposure. Like I've done East Coast, I've done West Coast. There's the West Coast is really coming up, and there's a lot of great guys there.
Mhm.
Ontario is quite big. There's a couple of really really good shows um, that a lot of Americans do travel over to get on. I wrestle for a main show, Super Kicked, and we pull 400, like we max out the place every time, and the fans just love the show. Like they're not all wrestling fans, but it's just a different vibe, and yeah, I mean it's like anywhere. Like I'm sure there's some really shitty shows in the States as well.
Yeah,
Uh,
I've been to some.
we have some too, but there's a lot of good in Canada, and I wish it could get exposed a little more.
I do think that too. I'm like, why is there? I mean, I'm not saying that there's not because I'm not in Canada, but I don't know if there is anybody has a TV deal up there and that can really help, bring it to the States as well. Because people clamor so much for when it comes to Japanese wrestling or British wrestling or even wrestling in Mexico. But when it comes to Canada, some people's memory of it just kind of dies off with the Hearts and Jericho, and like Kenny Omega might be the most recent one that people think about, or if they really know that the Dark Order is from Canada as well, or hell, I guess Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, but like they don't think, they just know that they're Canadian and they're wrestlers. They don't think about the Canadian scene that it is. Like I do wonder why nobody. I mean, I'm not saying it hadn't happened; it just hadn't come on my radar that more people are not trying to put the Canadian wrestling on TV so that people outside of Canada can really help consume it as well.
Um, I wish I had an answer for you. Yeah, I've wrestled a lot of them. Dark Order, I've wrestled multiple times. Josh Alexander and I have
That's right.
wrestled, and it's good wrestling. It really is. I really enjoy it. Now, there's guys from the States I really love wrestling too. Um, so to answer your question, I have no idea why it's not pushed as much, but I imagine it's like every other sport. It's just bigger in the States.
I guess so. I wish that more people would try to, like, I know Impact obviously does really good about um, showing the Canadian talent as well because the people running the places are Canadians, so you know.
Yeah, no, it's I think that's probably the one they show most of the Canadians, but like it was nice AEW came up here. WWE once in a while comes, but again, yeah, I think it's just there's more exposure in the States, and it is what it is. Like again, like I went back to football. Like you know, I a high school and a college team have more exposure in football than the CFL. And there is some good football in the CFL. It's not bad. It's just different rules and things like that. But it's yeah. And Canada has a lot of good too.
This is
But
yeah, this is very true.
yeah.
Now, when it comes to a move set, obviously as a wrestler, you evolve and you